Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 12, where I interview and speak with Jack Collard. Jack is a 2019 NCP scholar and Indigenous fellow who is also the fellow for Indonesia. This is part one, where we will be going through a collection of photos of his experiences as well as what he's currently up to. Hope you all enjoy.
All right. Can you see my screen, mate?
Yep, explain the picture.
Explain the picture. That's it.
Explain the picture.
All right. This is your first one. Oh, there we
Um,
go.
yeah, here we go.
Yeah, so you're playing basketball. Doesn't look like you're in Australia though, mate. Where were you for
Nah,
this?
definitely not in Australia.
Yeah.
Pretty far from it. So this was actually in Borneo,
Wow.
in Samarinda. So the story behind this is a very impromptu trip to Borneo. So I was playing basketball with my mate in like a 3v3 tournament, Indonesian mate. And so we were playing in 3v3 and we won. And then he said, I'm actually going to Borneo for a tournament next week. We got the big boss said he's happy to, for you to come along. And so I said, without much thought, I said, yeah, why not? Borneo, never been there, always planned on doing it. And so jumped on a flight with a bunch of random Indonesian basketball players, some of the best they've got going around. They all spoke, pretty good Javanese, not much Indonesian.
Okay.
So it was an amazing experience. Being amongst a group of people that already knew each other, trying to fit into that mold. For the first few games, I was very unfit, running up and down the court. I think they were all second guessing my abilities to play basketball. And then eventually found my form. And then
what position did you play?
I was playing like small forward sort of position. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good.
That's great.
I was one of the only foreigners in that whole city, I think, if not the only one.
Yeah.
So I'm up every game. It was the peak of my basketball career, I feel. So playing autographs and kids asking me for advice how they could get onto high school basketball team. And
this guy's like, I'm in the NBL. Yeah.
Way better than NBL,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's good times. Yeah. Is basketball big in Borneo?
In Borneo, yeah, I think it seemed pretty big. This is one of the bigger tournaments they have, which is the Sonic Open. So yeah, it seemed pretty big, but yeah, the court's pretty uneven. You get a hole in the middle of the keyway. So it's a different type of basketball.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Awesome, mate. Your next one is this one.
This one. This is a good one. So this is when I was in New York for the Permanent Forum, United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous issues. So I brought along the kangaroo pelt, the buka in Yunga, and then I had the colours around my head as well.
Yeah.
Because the week before I was invited to be a part of this Tribal Link Project Access training program, which is about upskilling Indigenous people in their capacity to engage with the United Nations and figure out how to effectively participate, during these forums and out of these forums, to advocate for their human rights in a way which will realise action. Because, sadly, Indigenous people are disproportionately left out of, all socio-economic aspects of the world. And a big one of that is, education, and human rights is as complicated for, lawyers as it is, even more so for people that don't know law. So this program is, really, really needed. It's been going on for a long time, and they said bring along something from, your community. So I brought along this, and then when it came to the first day of the forum, I, brought that along and thought, good time for a photo.
Yeah.
Everyone's jumping up on stage, grabbing the mic, pretending to be, probably not Donald Trump, but any of other than
anyone else.
Talking in front of it. So that was a really joyous moment before the commencement of the week.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll probably definitely touch on Indigenous issues and how people can even get involved in NCP later on as well as an Indigenous scholar. So yeah, great to hear, mate. Great to hear. Next one is this one, I believe.
This one, oh, so this was at the Independence Day ceremony at Independence Palace in Jakarta.
Oh wow.
So I was really fortunate. I did this speech competition before my NCP
Yeah.
for Indonesian, and I was lucky enough to be the one to represent Australia. So these guys from England, the other guys from Australia as well, and then from Holland, yeah. And there's people from all around the shop, and we all came over for a free sort of a tour of Indonesia. So we started off in Jakarta, learned a bit about the culture, and then the finale for Jakarta was getting to get some photos with President Joko Widodo. After a long day, pretty bland ceremonies. You know, we went for hours in the hot sun, and then everyone's sitting, you know, behaving themselves. All these dignitaries, you know, royalty from all around Indonesia. And then as soon as Joko started walking past everyone started clambering over chairs and trying to jump the fence to get a selfie with him. It was bizarre, but it was an experience. And so these are a couple of the guards that were there. So we got a snap with them.
That's awesome, mate. Yeah, this happens every year, I'm assuming.
Yeah, every year. Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity, and I highly, can't encourage anyone enough to, throw your hat in the ring for a free trip to Indonesia and back. See all the ins and outs.
Yeah.
Experience.
Well, your Indonesia must be really good then, mate.
Oh, it's all right. Sedikit.
Sedikit. And this one.
Yeah, so that's that same tour. So this is Bukit Tinggi. Bukit Tinggi, just like really beautiful area, mountainous. We went to some of these tunnels where the Japanese, hold up during the war, and they dug this tunnel in like a year. It was really cool learning Indonesia from their rich history. Throughout the past few decades, coming from a dictatorship, and then you take back a few more decades, and they've been occupied by Japan, and then being occupied by the Dutch. It's very interesting, history.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of even though it doesn't look a lot, but I was in Bandung, and I went to was it Bromo? Yeah, I climbed the volcano. Man, that was something else. Yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
So
I love Bandung.
How many times have you been in Indonesia?
I've only been once. I've been, it was like for an internship, and I was based in Jakarta, but we did go around. I went to, obviously, the Gili Islands, but then I went to, the main trip was to Bandung, and yeah, we did so much stuff over there.
Bandung, what a place.
That is.
Best weather in Indonesia, I reckon. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. It's just perfect.
Yeah. No, I'd love to go back, eh?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And just stop sharing there. Yeah, man. So now, what have you been up to since? Have you graduated yet, or are you now working?
Still got another year to go. So just been in limbo for per se since I've been back. I did my classes online.
Yeah.
I was halfway through my semester in Bandung. So yeah, just finished that off, and then since then, been working with my dad a fair bit. So helping him out in some of the projects that he's working on. It's all centered around capacity building for the Noongar Nation. So these are the first steps that we take as Indigenous people to addressing these issues that we're faced. These entrenched issues as a result of colonization and whatnot.
Yeah.
The reason why we haven't solved them so far is because of paternalistic governments and the way in which they give us freedom, or they don't give us freedom to take control of these programs and deliver them in the way that we know best. So some of the work that my dad's doing centers around that. So it's been a privilege and a blessing to be able to spend a bit more time doing that, where I have a bit more spare time. On top of that, been doing some work in my capacity as the Pacific focal point for the UN Global Indigenous Youth Caucus. So I've been taking, it is a mouthful, yeah, I need to take a breath before that. But yeah, so I've been helping out with this webinar that we've got going, which is later tonight. So we've got people from all over the shop. Got a list here. We've got some from Suriname, from Kenya, Bangladesh, New Zealand, and the US as well. All talking about mental health and coping with, you know, the coronavirus and how the coronavirus and the isolation that you know has catalyzed, how that has affected us as Indigenous youth disproportionately. A reason for that being is, you know, Indigenous people have to leave their, you know, communities often in search for economic opportunities and then also educational opportunities that are by nature not there in their communities. So very, very excited for that, and looking forward to see how that unfolds after, you know, half a year of, you know, late night calls over with terrible time differences with the US and whatnot. So looking forward to it.
I'm sure it's going to be great, man.